How's it going, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Foolish Fantasy. I'm your host, Kramer Sansone. I hope you are having a lovely day, night, afternoon, whenever it is that you're consuming this Foolish Fantasy, because if you are, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you are also tuning in, that means one thing and one thing only. You advanced. You are trying to sneak out of the Toilet Bowl Championship. You're trying to win that Toilet Bowl Championship, or you're advancing on and possibly playing the championship this week or the next following week. So if you're just kicking it, hanging out with me for the remainder of, I'm not 100% sure when or how long we're going to be doing this one today, or for the foreseeable future, because it sucks because at Foolish Fantasy, we won't have anything to do after next week. After we get you prepped for the championship, unless you're on the championship right now, you can probably get prepped with listening to the show today. But I'm curious what we're going to have to do there. We're going to have to fill the void. I'm going to fill the void of talking to you all about fantasy sports. I guess we'll have to get into the laboratory with Steven Sir to figure out what we're going to do next with this. But thank you all for hanging out with me this entire season, so for doing this, because I absolutely love fantasy football, and I'm happy that you are sticking it out with me throughout the end. So I personally made it to 3 playoffs of the 6 leagues that I'm in. I know I was 50% this season, and I lost last week because Travion Henderson and Trey McBride absolutely went nuts, went nuclear, and my team just couldn't keep up. And I even started Tyler Shuck as my quarterback, and also Trevor Lawrence, and I still could not pick up as an overpowered league. So I'm out of that one. The best thing about one thing that I did this year was I did this thing called a best ball league. I haven't done a best ball ever in my time of playing fantasy football, but it worked out to my favor because I have one of the highest scoring teams there. I finished second in the league, had a bye, so I played this week. And the thing with the opponent that I'm going up against, it's crazy because last week my opponent scored the most points possible in a best ball league type of environment or setting. We do this over on Sleeper. I'm not sure if you've ever even done a best ball before, but it's incredible because last week, this guy, for instance, he has Trevor Lawrence, Jonathan Taylor, Travis Etienne, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Travion Henderson, and even on his bench with Dalton Kincaid doing well as well. Maybe he has Brian Thomas Jr., Chris Olave. This is all in a best ball. It's an auction format, by the way, with 12 other people. The fact that he was able to get all this, scored over 200 points last week, insane. I'm playing that guy this week. I rock it out with either Jalen Hurts or is it Jalen Hurts my quarterback in this league? It's hard to keep up with at times. No, Caleb Williams and JJ McCarthy, which JJ McCarthy been very nice, very very nice as of late. But also got Bijan Robinson, Ashton Jeanty, George Pickens, Jalen Waddle, Jake Ferguson, Michael Pittman Jr., Cortland Sutton on the bench, Tony Pollard on the bench, Loveland, Cooper Kupp, David Montgomery, Algier. That's the entire team for myself, but it's also best ball. So if they're on the bench doing incredible things, they're going to get replaced automatically, which if you like that type of tinkering in fantasy football that way, that might be an outlet for you by just drafting the most insane and sick team possible. But also we did this in an auction format. That's the reason why I was able to stack my team up that well. And there's no waiver wire either. You can't add or drop. So whatever you draft is what you got. I have Russell Wilson. I was an idiot and wanted to get Russell Wilson. I mean, possibly some sneaky, cheeky points, but that didn't happen that way. But yeah, now, what is your all opinions on 2-week matchups? What I mean by 2-week matchups is during the playoffs. I'm in one league right now. It's a free league. I'm in the playoffs. I didn't realize it was a 2-week for one winner. So you take week 14 and week 15, combine those scores, the winner moves on. I'm not a big fan. I didn't know that was the league when I joined it, but it was a free league. I was invited. I want to be nice. I wanted to try to win the league, which I feel like I still can. I'm only down by 5 points. Shout out to Jason Mears, the kicker for the Seattle Seahawks, just absolutely going full-blown bazooka with his leg, just getting as many points possible and winning the game for Seattle, putting up 18 points. Absolutely unreal. 24-point fantasy day if you were to start him. I did. It was great for myself. But no, I don't like these 2-week type matchups. It's Bush League. It's not fantasy football. Let's get as many people as possible in many weeks as possible. Or heck, why in the week in the league so soon? We can continue this thing out. I don't know. I digress. I'm not into the 2-week matchups. I'm out without when it comes to fantasy football. So I doubt I stick around that league even if I do win it. But yeah, no. Let's besides talking and ranting about fantasy football like we love to do, and we wish to talk with people about that too. And at times, you're talking fantasy football with somebody, damn good and well, they just do not care. But they're like, oh, that's not, they disagree with you, or like try to spin the question. It's okay. We all know those people. All right, let's get to the foolish funsies. We saw that on Wednesday, Tua is benched for Quentin Ewers. Insane. I'm absolutely shocked that happened. No, I'm not shocked. Tua sucks. Tua stinks. I know last week I talked about having him be. I specifically said not Tua to go off, but the matchups that the Dolphins have were very, very easily are winnable. Tua has looked fine through a mid chunk of November, but that was it. So once it hits December, it just absolutely fell off a cliff for him. I know it was cold for Miami. That still, you're a quarterback in the National Football League. You got paid. You need to play like you are the best out there if you're getting paid that much money. It's bad. So Quentin Ewers, I can't wait to see what he actually does, because I think who do they play this week? Dolphins get, who do the Dolphins have? I feel like it's an easy opponent. I don't know why I do. I feel like it is. It is. It has a decent matchup for him. The Bengals. They play the Bengals, and the Bengals defense is absolutely horrendous. Quentin Ewers actually might have himself a great coming out party or showing out party for having his first start ever in the National Football League for himself. I hope nothing for the best for him, the former Texas quarterback. Like I think he's. Let's see what he can do. Tua done. I'm curious what they do now with Tua. They trade him with picks. I'm curious what happens there, but I think Tua's 10-year in Miami is quick, very, very quick. And it's not great. It's not great. All right, there was an injury last week that impacts a lot of fantasy championships or getting you to the playoffs, and Patrick Mahomes tearing his ACL. How do we replace Patrick Mahomes? It's hard to say. It's hard to gauge, but I have at least 4 quarterbacks, including his backup, that I do like their matchups wise. Gardner Minshew could be an easy starter this week. They play against the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans is not known for their defense or offense at all. This should be a win for the Kansas City Chiefs. This should be an easy win for the Chiefs, but I guess it's any given Sunday, anytime. And no one expected the Kansas City Chiefs to already be knocked out of playoff contention before we even enter into this week of Week 16. So I think we're heading into Week 16, aren't we? What week is it in the National Football League? We got 3 weeks left. What week is it? What week is it in the NFL? I think it's 16. Yeah, it's 16. I don't know why I second guess myself. I know the damn answer, Kramer. Just get to it, cut to the chase. But no, Gardner Minshew, I do like him against the Titans this week. I would consider picking him up if you do have Chiefs players, or because they're going to get they're not going to run the football. They're going to pass majority of it. I'd be shocked if they go out to change up the game plan. And watch Xavier Worthy go off. Watch Rashee Rice have himself a day, even Travis Kelce against this terrible, and I mean terrible, Tennessee Titans defense. Gardner Minshew is available in a lot of leagues, so you feel free to go out there and try to get him. Tyler Shuck has a very good matchup against the New York Jets this week. Shuck has been shown out as of late when it's come to playing games. He's running the ball with his legs. I think it's over 130 yards in the last 2 games, rushing, a couple of touchdowns, also being scored on the ground, and he's also throwing the football, and he's doing it pretty good. He's doing it pretty good, very decent wise. He's going to give you close to around the 200 mark of fantasy points, exactly what you need to replace if you're trying to replace a guy like Patrick Mahomes. Tyler Shuck has a good matchup. Like I said, the Jets played the Jaguars last week, and Trevor Lawrence had 45 fantasy points. You might want to start Tyler Shuck. Trevor Lawrence, he might be an option. He might be available in leagues. I know he had that insane game last week, but does it carry over against the Denver Broncos defense? I doubt it's anything close to what we just saw last week with him and Travis Etienne going full-blown nuts. But now Trevor Lawrence playing against the Broncos, if you see him out on the waiver wire, I would not put a claim in on him or pick him up off there. I'm like I said, I'm going with I would rather have Tyler Shuck over Trevor Lawrence, but he's still an option there. Then Quentin Ewers against the Bengals, I think that you should consider it. It's the Bengals defense. The Bengals defense is absolutely bad. So if you're trying to replace Patrick Mahomes, those are at least 4 guys I do like, especially with the matchups that they have going into, with it being Gardner Minshew, Tyler Shuck, Trevor Lawrence. Still, you might want to consider it, and because of just how he can use his legs to get points, and Quentin Ewers against the Bengals. Those are my guys that you can possibly consider starting him over that. That's how to replace Mahomes. Joe Burrow will start the remainder of the season. That's good. That's good. You know why? Because this next 2 weeks, especially if you're in the especially if you're playing in the trying to get to the championship or you are playing in the championship. 2 great weeks for matchup wise because Joe Burrow's taking on the Dolphins. Dolphins don't really have a good secondary. We saw them get a bit exposed by Aaron Rodgers on Monday night against the when they played them on Monday night, Steelers versus Dolphins. But next week, Arizona Cardinals. The Bengals will play the Cardinals. The Cardinals give up a lot of receiving yards. They also give up a lot of rushing yards as well. The Cardinals is completely banged up. This is back-to-back great weeks if you have Joe Burrow and you are trying to make that run for the championship and win the championship. He's a must-start. I know he had a bad week last week. He called himself out on it. I don't think we're going to see a Joe Burrow game like that anytime soon, and for a very long, long time until next season. But, Joe Burrow will start the remainder of the season. That's obviously great, especially if you have him in fantasy in fantasy purposes. Commanders shut down Jaden Daniels. You probably shouldn't have him on your roster anyways. I can't believe the Commanders had him trotted out 3 weeks after hurting that elbow when it looked disgusting and it was just bad. Then being thrown down after getting picked off against the Vikings and we haven't seen him since. This is a smart move by the Commanders, saving and hopefully keeping him healthy for next season. So it sucks, but it's okay. We're Jaden Daniels. We'll see you next season. Thank you for what you've done so far. Alrighty, I've got, instead of the waiver wire watcher we typically do, because at this point in time you're riding with what you got, or you're just playing up against the matchups right now in the playoffs. So it's gut check time, and we are wanting to figure out these list of players that I have that I'm going to discuss with you all, that we need to start them or we need to not start them. But it's gut check. It's the instant feeling. It's like, yes, I'm going to do it. Yes, I'm going to do it. Yes, I'm going to do it. So that's how we're going to go. The first player on my gut check, Jonathan Taylor. With this offense that we saw this past week with the Colts, I thought we were going to see better. I thought we were going to see more. I thought we were going to have a lot more rushing and better positive yards with Jonathan Taylor. Do I want him to do what he has been doing this entire season by averaging about 20 points? Yes, I would love that. But we haven't seen that in 3 weeks. We haven't seen that in 4 weeks. I don't know what type of Jonathan Taylor we're having right now with Phillip Rivers under center. You would want more. You expect more. They played against the San Francisco 49ers, who do have a decent defense, middle of the pack defense, I should probably say. Maybe probably above half. I just know their offense has been doing incredible things, including, their defenses too. But they're playing, I guess it's a tougher matchup. You have to start him, but man, it hurts the gut trying to do I start him or do I not? I'm leaning more towards the side of starting him, so do it that way. Now, with his teammate, Michael Pittman Jr., I'm not starting Michael Pittman Jr. He was a great, solid, above wide receiver, probably a top 20 wide receiver with a great quarterback play this entire fantasy season. Not with Phillip Rivers. I wish, but it's the 49ers defense. Phillip Rivers, no thank you. He's not going to get him the ball. He won't have time. It's odd. It's odd. You would like to have the guy that's been a very detrimental to your entire team for the majority of the first half of the season. You want him to shine as well, to be like, hey, you're a big reason, you're a big focal point the entire year. If it doesn't happen in the playoffs, you got to move on. So my gut check for Michael Pittman Jr., you can't. Devontae Adams versus the Seahawks, there may be a chance that Devontae Adams may not even play, but if he even is considered to be starting and is active, no, I'm not. I'm fine. The Rams' longevity is not – they're going for the Super Bowl. They don't care about this week against the Seahawks. They're going to lock themselves up a spot, if they not have already locked themselves up a spot, to be playing in the playoffs. That's all they're worried about, getting healthy to the playoffs. Devontae Adams, my gut says do not do it, but man, it's hard to when he's getting all those red zone targets. And he's good inside the red zone. Even if it's just him playing in the red zone, I still wouldn't do it. My gut's telling me do not start Devontae Adams this week. Justin Jefferson versus the Giants, I would love to say yes, because of J.J. McCarthy's played the last 2 weeks. J.J. McCarthy has actually stepped up. He's been a solid fantasy football quarterback to start. But Justin Jefferson let a ball go through his hands against the Cowboys. What are we doing here? That was on Thursday night. We know your production is very low. We understand it. It's because of J.J. McCarthy's accuracy, but that ball went right through your hands while you were in the end zone. I don't want to hear it. I don't know. Giants, you would want to start him, but my gut tells me no. Do not start Justin Jefferson. Don't start him. Don't. My gut's telling me no, so I'm not doing it. Ladd McConkey versus the Cowboys. Yes. My gut says yes. Yes. Lad's been also being seeing a lot more run lately. Him and working off of him and Keenan Allen. It's a great combination, and it's the Cowboys. The Cowboys are very bad at guarding wide receivers, and I can think it will continue against Lad McConkey. Ashton Genty versus the Texans. No, don't start him. Don't start him. Do not start Ashton Genty. If you have Ashton Genty and you've made it to this far in the playoffs, championship, bravo. Like, bravo. But that Texans defense is nasty. They're going to stop the run. I doubt he gets over 50 rushing yards. Do not start Ashton Genty. That offensive line is horrendous. Now let's go to his teammate, Brock Bowers. I thought we were going to see more from him and Kenny Pickett. I wouldn't start Brock Bowers if Kenny Pickett starts. I'm just saying, dude, if Kenny Pickett starts, my gut says do not start Brock. Do that. Rashee Rice versus the Titans. Yes. Secondary is the corners are not going to be able to get as sticky as like they have been. Rashee Rice, I bet they dial up so many short routes, so many slants. Rashee Rice is probably going to get fed a lot from Gardner Minshew. Depends if he can catch the ball and stuff. So my gut says yes on Rashee Rice. I still think this is a great matchup with any Chiefs player. So let's go to Travis Kelce. Yes, start Travis Kelce. He might have himself a day. He might be Gardner Minshew's best friend unless he's getting double covered out there, which is a very big possibility on Travis Kelce. But my gut says yes on starting Travis Kelce. Marvin Harrison Jr., my gut check, no, don't do it. Don't. Wilson has been doing incredible things. Michael Wilson is doing incredible things with the Arizona Cardinals, and I don't want Marvin Harrison out there, but if he is, I still think Wilson's going to get a lot more run because Jacoby Brissett loves throwing him the football. Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jacoby Brissett don't really have that connection that we've seen with Wilson and Brissett. But my gut says don't start Marvin Harrison Jr. because you don't know if he's even going to get hurt possibly in this game when he comes back. He's just my gut says no, so I'm saying no. Derrick Henry versus the Patriots. Yes, you start Derrick Henry. He had an incredible game last week. Wish he would have gotten to the end zone, but I mean that's just is what it is. The Ravens still got the win. I would start Derrick Henry against the Patriots because it's December. You ride the Derrick Henry legs and the Derrick Henry train, and no matter what, you should be fine throughout the rest of the regular season. Mike Evans versus the Panthers. Yes, I thought he got hurt during the game last week, and I'm like, oh no, please, I want to see more Big Mike. He still had, I think, 12 or 14 targets. He had 6 or 8 receptions, over 140 yards. Like, he had himself a night on his first game back. Yeah, start Mike Evans against the Panthers. And lastly on this list, Jackson Dart versus the Vikings. This is a very tough matchup because the Vikings do hold on. They're like the third best team in fantasy football that do not give up fantasy points to quarterbacks. And Jackson Dart has been running around it looks like with his head cut off, but it's all the concussions that he suffered. But he doesn't understand how to protect himself. Dude, protect yourself, man. You're up here matters the most, right here, up in the mind. Jackson Dart versus the Vikings. My gut says don't. And all the guys that I've gone through, I've looked, and these are players that we've seen that are going to be either in this round of the playoffs or in the championship round. This is a lot of players that are helping you get there. It's not going to pan out for some of these guys, but that's my gut check. I'm curious what you guys think about the gut check as well, but that's my gut feelings on whether or not you should start them or not start them this week. It's hard. Those are big names, but you got to also take the name out of the production, or put the name in the production. If the production is not what you want, and you're like, okay, you can't do it. Then remove that name. All right, before we get out of here, here's some over-under projections. This is going over all the fantasy football points that we're going to see this week that have already been projected on these players. And I'm curious what the over-under truly is, because right now, if you're going to start Phillip Rivers, he's projected to have a 15.4 fantasy football PPR points against the 49ers. He's projected to 15.4. I do not think he's going to get that close. He was projected, I think, 12 or 13 last week in his first start. He got like a 7. A 7. I want to say the under on the 15.4 for Rivers fantasy production. Gardner Minshew's an 18.5. I think we could see Gardner hit the over on that. I'm very, very confident the Chiefs will be A-okay with Gardner for 1 week against Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans, they're not great. There's still a lot of pieces on the Chiefs that are still there that can help them win, and I think they have enough to beat and edge the Tennessee Titans. And lastly, Quentin Ewers is 16.8 projected to go up against the Bengals. We might see that hit the over. I think it hits the over. So I got two overs, one under on that as well. But that'll do it for this edition of Foolish Fantasy. Foolish Fantasy, if I can speak correctly. Thank you all for hanging out with me for this last 19 to 20 minutes. But no, we will have an episode for sure next week because we got to get to the championship. And no matter what, we have to have it. We have to have a podcast. I want to talk fantasy football. And I'm telling you, I gotta scratch the itch. I gotta figure out what we're gonna do after next week's show. So I'll brainstorm with Surdens, figure that out that way. But good luck this week if you're still in the playoffs. I hope you can make it to next week in the championship. And if you're in the championship, good luck. Take the money, take the crown, take the title, and show off because, damn it, you earned it.